I am Luke Garrity. Welcome to the 1920s News. Let's begin. Welcome to the 1920s, folks. Talking France. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. All right. How could you have prevented World War I from starting?
It's a bit more complicated than just answering plain off. You gotta go to the background. France at the time was not that well with the industries.
No, you were not.
They were, yeah, that's what I just said. So they were trying to catch up with America, and also they pulled an American with how they kicked out the Indians and took their land, but instead of the Indians, we did it with Africa. Because like all the other countries, we wanted land. And we also made alliances with Russia, and that was not the best idea, considering the fact that they were the biggest power at the time.
Wasn't.
What do you mean wasn't?
Wasn't a good idea.
Oh yeah, no, it was not, indeed. And also, we could have been a bit nicer to the Arabs and the Muslims, because that was kind of our racism factor in that whole area. But, I mean, overall, it was kind of inevitable to get involved because we were in the middle of Europe.
Bonjour, partner. Bonjour.
Bon Jovi, indeed.
Hey, folks. Still in the 1920s. Talking to Brandon here from America. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Sir, I got one question to ask you. How could America have prevented World War I from starting?
Well, the biggest thing that we had a problem with was that we needed to avoid the war, and by doing that, we had to stop industrializing around the focus of machine guns and airplanes. We had manufactured over 20,000 airplanes for war, so the whole idea to stop preparing for war was we had to stop building and whatnot, you know? As well as we were very imperialistic. We wanted to involve ourselves in other nations' problems, like the Philippines. And if we want to avoid conflicts, we should just isolate ourselves from other nations' problems and conflicts.
Sir, thank you for the interview. Have a good one.
You too.
Talking to Steve here from Austria. Yeah, we're still in the 1920s, folks. Steve, how could Austria have prevented from starting, or going into World War I should say?
We probably should have made a treaty with Russia with the railroads, because that made a conflict between us. We did take over Siberia because we were stronger than them, but Germany eventually took us over because they were like pushing us really hard. That probably wouldn't happen if we could get a lot more trades, because our economy was quite poor, which is why we made the railroad in the first place. So.
Stephen, thank you for your time.
Yep.
Still in the 1920s, folks. Talking to Pasha here. How are you, good sir?
I'm very good, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
one question for you. How could Russia have prevented World War I from starting?
Чтобы избежать
Well,
войны
that's
в
just the thing
России,
about Russia. They could not prevent war just because they were one of the biggest countries in the world at the time. Russia just wanted a way to get to the Black Sea for an open trade with other countries. Also, we could not have avoided war just because we were alliances with France and Austria, which were great wages to at the time, even though we shared railroads with Austria. So it was a very complicated process.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, Russia.
Still in the 1920s, folks. Talking to Dirty Dan from Germany. How are you?
Pretty good.
All right, sir, I got one question for you. How could Germany have prevented World War I from starting or stayed out of it?
Okay, first, the country Morocco, Germany wanted to take that over to create, a gap from Britain and France, because they were alliances, so they kind of wanted to keep them out of each other. So I, first of all, think Germany should not have taken over Morocco and left them to be them by themselves. It's kind of fair. Second, in Germany, we wanted a superior race, and we were really wanted our religion and our language. I think that there should have been equal rights for all religion and language, and they shouldn't have been looked down upon because they were a different religion than us. And I think everything should be equal. And third, I don't think there should be as many military officials in the government, because the German government's really based on military and really militaristic, and I think that it should be a limit on military officials in the government, so Germany is not based on going off of war and don't want to fight, and then we'll be a more peaceful country.
Good day, sir.
Backflip makes everything better.